Hello everyone, in this tutorial I would like to teach you everything about bar chords. I'm going to break down this lesson into 3 chapters: beginners, intermediate and advanced. In each chapter I'll be giving you all the necessary exercises and tips and tricks to make sure that by the end of this series you'll master any bar chord. Let's begin with chapter 1. What are bar chords? Bar chords are a type of chords when you press multiple strings with one finger. The most common way of playing bar chords is using the index finger to press multiple strings at the same time. The smallest shape of a bar chord can be when you use the index finger to press 2 strings on the same fret. So in this case I'm pressing the first string and the second string. Needless to say, there are tons of different shapes that require you to use the technique of bar chords. Let me give you an example. Here is the chord B, where I have a bar chord on the 2nd fret for strings 1 and 2. Here is another very common shape of a bar chord, B minor. And since many ukulele players are struggling with the E chord shape, here is a great substitution to it. So in this one, I'm pressing down 4 strings, so all of them pretty much on the 4th fret, and adding my pinky to the 7th fret 1st string. A question that many of my students ask me is, why do we need to play a bar chord if we have an open string position to this chord? So I'll give you an example. Here's a C chord, which we all know very well. 0, 0, 0, 3. And here is a bar chord of a C chord. So I'm pressing down the 5th fret on the 4th string, 4th fret on the 3rd string, and a mini bar chord on the 1st string and the 2nd string on fret number 3. So first of all, let's listen to the difference between these 2 types of C chords. So here is the open string C chord. And here is the alternative shape, the bar chord. So the choice of which chord to use has to do with the song that you're playing or with the style that you're playing. So I'll give you an example. If the song that we're playing is a very ballady song or requires you to have very long notes, I would go for the choice of the open strings. Let me demonstrate. So the open strings tend to sound a little bit longer, and the texture of the sound is a little bit wider and fuller. However, if we're playing reggae or we're playing funk music that requires you to actually play more staccato, in other words, shorter sounds, I would go for a bar chord, because when playing a bar chord you can regulate the duration of the sound. I'll give you an example. So now that I'm strumming downwards, I'm stopping the strings from resonating, and therefore the sound becomes very short. So let me give you a short demonstration of a funk theme with the use of the bar chord. So what allows me to keep the notes short and add those percussive effects is because my left hand is pressing a bar chord. Let me give you another example. I'll try to do the same with an open string position, and you can tell the difference. Let's move back to the bar chord. And that's what gets the groove going. Another reason why bar chords are very useful is because with one shape, such as the B chord, we can get multiple other chords, such as shifting the same shape up 1 fret gives us the C chord. Going another fret up gives us the C sharp or the D flat chord. Another fret up, the D chord. So as you can see, you can get tons of different chords with one single shape. And now it's time to break it down. Let's look at the technique. So for this episode, I would like to start with a basic bar chord when we are using the index finger pressing 4 strings at the same fret. For that, you will need to use your index finger to cover a full fret position. So as you can see, I'm covering the entire 1st fret, all the 4 strings. Then I'm moving to the 2nd fret, 3rd fret, etc. So many students are struggling with getting the right sound of a bar chord, and it's because they don't position the fingers correctly. So let me break it down. We need two fingers to make a proper bar chord position. We'll need the thumb and the index finger, and that's what I call eclipse positions. The thumb will be positioned on the opposite side of the neck to your index finger, right at the same line. By doing so, you're creating enough pressure so that the position becomes very strong to actually press the strings towards the fretboard and to create a proper sounding bar chord. Another important point about the thumb is keep a thumbs up position, what I call an elevator thumb. So as you can see, my thumb is a little bit with an angle. So this what makes your thumb very strong when it comes to pressing. Another important point about the left hand thumb is use the tip of your thumb to create the pressure on the neck. So you see that this is exactly the point where I'm pressing with my thumb. I'm not covering the entire neck of the ukulele with my thumb. I'm not going overboard. You see, this is not a good thing to do because this way the pressure of the thumb is not distributed in the right way. Now let's flip sides and look at the ukulele fretboard and our index finger. As I mentioned before, the thumb and the index finger are very crucial. They're doing a 50-50% job here. So in order for your bar chord to sound good, you want your index finger to be a little bit on the right side of the fret. So I'll give you an example. Let's look at this chord. I'm pressing a full bar chord on fret 2, 2, 2, 2 with my index finger. And as you can see, there is a little bit of a gap between the pressing point and the start of the second fret. So the pressing point of my index finger is a little bit to the right. Not in the middle, not in the beginning. This is the beginning of the fret, this is the middle, but a little bit this way. So I'm pretty much feeling the fret, the separation line, touching my index finger from the right side. That's the indication that I'm in a good position. Obviously, the more up you go in the fretboard, the more narrow the frets become and the less space you have. So I would say after the 7th fret or even after the 6th fret, it doesn't matter so much because at least for me, my finger is as thick as the fret. It has to do, of course, with the size of your ukulele. This is a treble soprano ukulele, so everything is a little bit more narrow than a concert or even a baritone, needless to say. Another important thing about your index finger, the bar chord finger, is the point of how you press with that finger, where the pressure is. So if I show you my index finger, so I'm not pressing on the fret right in the middle, I'm pressing a little bit on the side. So that's the point where I press with. So as you can see, there is a little bit of an angle. It's a slight angle that tilts the position of the fingers to the left side, okay? So let's review what we just talked about. So the location of the index finger will be as close as possible to the line, to the separating lines, to the frets, right? And the pressuring point, the point that you actually use for pressing down the strings, is a little bit on this side of your finger, on the left side of your index finger. And now it's time for our first exercise. So here is a B minor 7 chord. It's a full bar chord on the 2nd fret with our index finger. The exercise goes this way. We want to press down the strings in the correct position and release them and strum the open string. So we're building some kind of a muscle memory here. So press the bar chord and release the bar chord. Press and release. And listen very carefully because you don't want to have any buzzing sound or any muted notes there. So it's very important to do this exercise with a metronome or with a click track in order for you to keep it in rhythm. Another important thing to add, so when you're training your bar chord finger, the index finger, I want the rest of the fingers, so meaning the middle finger, ring finger and pinky, to be relaxed. Don't do that. It's a very common thing. I see a lot of students doing that, so pretty much helping the index finger to press. You don't want to do that because in our next class, in our next chapter, I'll be actually breaking down other chord shapes where you will need to use those fingers. So maintain the right position of your index finger, so something we talked about in the beginning of this class, and keep the rest of the fingers, so middle, ring and pinky, relaxed right above the fretboard, okay? So just like that, B minor 7, release, and B minor 7 and release. And here is exercise 2. Take the B minor 7 shape and shift it 1 fret down to the 1st fret. So we start with the 1st fret, we open it to a 0. We go to the second fret, we open it to a 0, 3, open, 4, open, 5, open, and you can go back. Make sure to pay attention to the details, to your thumb, to your index finger, and all the positioning in order to guarantee a clean sound. And then the final exercise is a song by Stevie Wonder called I Wish, which has two chords in it. It has the B minor 7 chord, which we just learned, and if we shift the B minor 7 chord 2 frets up, you get the E6 chord. And these are the two chords for the verse part. Before I break it down, let's listen to it. So let's break it down. The left hand is very simple, just two chords. The right hand is also very simple because it's all down strums. You can do it with your thumb, or you can strum it with your fingers. So every chord gets 4 strums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I go back. So now in order to make it groovy, we gotta make an accent on the third strum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm pretty much strumming a little bit louder on the third count, on the third strum. And the final thing we can add to the groove is keeping the sound short and very compact. So check it out. So instead of having a very long sound, I'm keeping it very short. So in order to get that right effect, you need to press and release your index finger, but stay on the surface of the strings. It's very important not to release your index finger entirely from the strings, but keeping it on the surface. Now let's put it all together and play it. 3, 4, doody doody doo doo, doody doody doo 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 doo. Doo-dum, doo-dum, doo-doo. Doo-dum, doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. Alright guys, that was it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial, the intermediate level. There are some new bar chords that we gotta learn. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to follow my channel for more tips and tricks and cool tutorials. And if you want to spice up your playing and take it to the next level, I also welcome you to join to my Patreon community. The link is in the description. Thank you again and see you very soon.